Fertilizer, an essential nutrient of plant, is now sold at 26,000 naira amidst other food crisis in Nigeria. Traders observed that last year farming season, the market price of fertilizer was 11,000 naira against the current price. In this episode, we look at how farmers are improvising rather than using the required quantity of fertilizer on their farms. Welcome to Agri-Prenuer. I am Gaza Yakubu. Fertilizers are commonly used by farmers to help increase plant productivity and development. It helps farmers account for their yield.
Like what our forefathers used to do, they will farm here for 4 years, they will abandon the land for another 4 years in order for the land to naturally replenish itself. And the rate at which we are having over 8 billion people in the world, nobody could be waiting for that kind of approach in order to feed humanity. And so it means people just got to get thinking, and thank God for the knowledge. They've come with a lot that even on a piece of land, you could keep on farming it year in, year out, year in, because there's, a kind of way that have been devised to, reposition the land for productivity. That is the use of fertilizer. So actually it helps us to produce, maximum within a minimum space, and also to continuously use the same facility for a long time instead of shifting cultivation, shifting from one place to another place. So fertilizer is key. And when you talk about fertilizer, you talk about the chemical fertilizer and the organic fertilizer. In real term and real sense, the organic fertilizer should actually be deployed to produce fuel for human consumption, while the chemical fertilizers could produce fuels that could be used for livestock. And because if what you produce through chemical fertilizer is too rich on chemical substance, it has, adverse effects on the body. Some of them could be as worse as being carcinogenic. That is, could actually trigger cancer. Because organic source of fertilizer is expensive, foods that are produced through organic fertilizer are equally expensive.
Throughout the years, farmers have utilized fertilizer to improve the fertility of the soil. The government had initially made the product available and affordable in the previous years to farmers, but recently it is going beyond reach.
In fact, during COVID in 2020, the chairman of the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative announced a further subsidy, and we bought fertilizer at that time at 5,000 per bag. And all the other fertilizer compositions, 15, 15, 15, urea and all that, were readily affordable by farmers. But then the subsidy was such that the NSIA complained that it was getting too much for them because the cost of delivering those and per ton to them was over 7,000. So if the Presidential Fertilizer Initiative was selling at 5.5, the loss was too much for them. And as a sovereign fund, they could not afford for their accounts to be read. So they withdrew. So in 2021, fertilizers with the blenders, 2010 was 11,500, and the farmers were groaning Even back then, it was not easy for them. But this year, the problem is multifaceted, and the fertilizers are selling. Even the 2010 is minimum 22,000.
Several factors, according to agricultural stakeholders, have led to the cost of these products in the market. The escalating price of gas has negatively impacted on the cost of transportation, leaving the consumers to pay the price due to differences incurred.
The chemical fertilizer now is beyond the reach of an average farmer because the cost of foreign exchange, cost of production from the factory, and transportation. Because, for instance, 100 liter of diesel before is about 20,000 naira when it was 200 naira per liter. But when it comes to 850 naira, it's now 85,000. That same trailer that used to collect 200,000 to pack 600 bags of beans from Kefi here down to Port Harcourt or Lagos will now be charging you almost, 1 million naira. And who is going to bear the brunt? The cost will be transferred to the food.
Our investigation on the cost of fertilizer from 2016 to August 2022 proves that fertilizer has hit record high in Nigeria. Day is among the few markets in the FCT that sells fertilizer. Traders in this market express dissatisfaction and low patronage.
Kan ga Allah taki dai yanzu ya zama abin da ya zama kamar kasancewar shekarun baya kamar shekara 2 zuwa 3 da ta wuce da taki ba wani abu ne mai wahala saboda yana arhani a kasuwa, amma daga bara shekarar ta wuce zuwa wannan shekarar an samu hauhawar farashi, kusan ma an samu linki ma za a ce, kusan ba ma sau ɗaya ba na shi ainihin takin.
Ta shekara ɗaya da ya wuce ba ana sai da shi naira 10,500, yanzu kuma ya kai naira 25,000 haka yake tafiya yanzu a kasuwa. Shi yuriya farashinsa buhunsa naira 23,500 yake a kasuwa, so mu kuma muna sai da shi 24,500. to different ɗinsu na NPK, shi kuma NPK muna sayan shi naira 25,000 ne a kasuwa, kuma muna sai da shi naira 26,000 murum haka yake sai da shi insha Allah.
Although fertilizers are available in this market, the demand is not commensurable to its supply due to high cost.
Good since June and June ending. At first, we're selling 25,000 naira. So customers will now complain that it's on the high side. This one is on the high side. We now bring it down to 24,800. Still, they were not able to buy it. They still complain that the price is too much. We have to still bring it down again. If someone wants to buy plenty, we can give him 24,650. The person wants to buy up to 100 bags. This rainy season, this is the time that it was meant to move very fast. As in, I was meant to do turn up like 2 or 3 times, but the market is very, very slow because of the price.
Traders observe that most farmers who patronize them no longer afford a bag of fertilizer because the escalating price has scared them away.
Da yanayin quantity din da za a sa a gonan zai ragu saboda tsadar shi ta yi yawa, wanda zai sa buhu 10 dole sai dai ya sayi buhu 2 ko 3 ya manage saboda abubuwan sun yi wahala sosai.
The farming season has become more difficult for farmers as they will have to labor and find other alternative of producing crop. Some have given up the use of fertilizer, while others have reduced the number of bags and quantity they usually acquire.
Presently, we're not making use of fertilizer because the cost of fertilizer right now is very, very high. Unlike our last this farm season that we did last year, we did apply fertilizer, and that was because it was very affordable then. But this time around, we are using dunks instead.
Lokacin da ake sai da shi irin 7,500 zuwa 8,000 shekara biyu haka da ya wuce, ina iya amfani da tan 2, tan 1.5, wata shekara ma ina kai har tan 3 wannan nake noma da shi. Amma a shekarar bana ma gaba ɗaya ban iya amfani da bahu 10 ba. Ina iya noma shinkafa bahu 200, 150. A shekarar da ta kada ni zan samu irin 130, 120 din nan. Ina noma a nan Abuja, ina noma a Katsina, ba inda ba na yi. To alhamdulillah ko a yanzu a Katsina na yi noma, wannan har ma na yanka a yanzu haka na girbe. Akwai wannan na yi a Abuja kuma wannan bai riga ya zo ba. Amma sakamakon matsaloli da aka shiga irin na taki, yanzu haka na Abuja yana son taki ban iya sawa ba.
The way I used to cultivate my farm, it's not like that this year. As you can see, I don't used to weed with hand, with manual, but now I'm using manual to labor, to work my farm. We have calibers of fertilizers. There are some that if applied, you cannot use your hand to weed. And there are some that if you applied, it will not take much time, the weed will still come up again. Then you use your hand to weed. Before, like a liter of fertilizer, before sometimes you used to buy it 1,800 or 2,000 thereabout, but now 4,000, even 4 plus at this present time.
Well, before I was having like 20 bags. But the cost of fertilizers, the way the price is skyrocketing, even to have 10 has been a problem to me, and I've succeeded having 5 bags.
With the absence of fertilizer, farmers who cannot bear the cost are finding manure more convenient. Dunks have become the most sought after.
Well, the growth of our crops in the farm now compared to that of last year, seriously, they are really doing well. The crops are doing well because if you like these fertilizers man we buy in the market, those things are made of chemicals. Like this dunks already myself, those ones are natural this thing. So the nutrients and the growth of this thing is even different from that of that last year's season, seriously actually. So we are not really finding it difficult and all that because the crops are doing well, they are doing fine at the moment.
And there are those that no waste. They can even get animal tons and apply in their farm. But like me, I don't have that way. So there's no means for me to get the animal done. I don't have the, even to get the animal done is money. The money is not there.
To know how much these dunks are sold and why farmers find it more convenient, we visited the cattle market where farmers come to mop these dunks.
Actually, since we were very small, we know animal dunks are mainly for crops to produce well. before we get this local fertilizer, we dey use this animal dogs as manual something. So we usually use these animal dogs to feed the crops so that they will get nitrate from that manure. No, you know, fertilizer and manure. Fertilizer is a new improved standard of manure, so it can give the nutrients for the crops so stronger than manure. The manure, if you put it in your farm, it will take at least 3 to 4 years before it becomes less productive. But fertilizer, if you use it this year, when it finishes next year, you have to apply another ones. But for manure, it will take 2 to 3 years before its power get less.
So dama farko shine asalin takin da muka sani na iyaye da kakanni. Daga bisani zawan zamani tura suka zamanantar da lokaci shine ake amfani da wancan na turawa. So na turawan yanzu ya zo ya zama abin da ya zama. Ya yi tsada, mutane ba su da kudaden da za su iya saya. So maimakon ka je ka sai wancan buhu 9,000 ko 10,000, in ka zo ka bada 500 ko naira 1,000 za a iya dura ma wannan, sai ka je ka zuba, kuma zai amfane ka shekara 1 zuwa 2 har 3 yana iya amfani a wurin. Ake yi manoma suna mana layi kaman in lokaci yayi, wani zai iya kawo buhu 100, wani 200, wani 300, wani zai zo da tirela, wani tangul, wani dai da something motan dai kwasan kaya wanda suke noma bangaren Kaduna, citta da sauran kayan noma masara. So wasu suna in an ɗaya ba ma wasu suna ma ana ba su lokacin sati 2 sati 3 ya taru sannan a dura musu nasu.
The challenges of resorting to using dunks are also not far-fetched. The farmers will have to weed the plant in the absence of herbicide at interval to prevent the grasses from competing nutrient.
There is, like right now, like I'm feeling back pain, but I just have to do it because this is where we feed from. And not only feeding, we do sell most of these farm products to use as maybe means of paying school fees, means of settling some kind of things that has to do with financial this thing. So this thing is really, really helpful. And you see, without this farming, definitely the cost of food in the market, we can't really afford it right now, seriously. And if you even buy food, it will not last long, like unlike the one you farm, use the energy farming and all that. Then you know now if you plant 1 module of maize or corn now like this, the rate at which it will germinate and what you harvest is even more than what you buy in the market. It's not really our wish to weed this thing we're doing right now, but the rate at which the price of the chemicals is very, very high in the market. And again, they are not really should I say productive enough to kill the weed in the farm. So when you spray within 1 week, before you know, the thing will not die itself, it will start coming up again. So using your highest now, what we need to do is, after we are done with the whole thing, go to the house, rest, then get drugs, buy that will help you energize your, then you come back the next day. So we're just doing it. Like you can see now, we can even use a week to weed this play. That it doesn't mean that we have to kill ourselves and all that. Just do where our power and strength to reach, then we stop, we'll come back the next day.
In fact, if government could look to the issue of the farmers, you know, nobody lives without food. They're supposed to know that, yes, they have to aid farmers to what? To make sure they produce more food, even for the masses to benefit.
The rise in prices of fertilizer in the market is not just attributed to the escalating price of gas. Other factors such as the Russian-Ukraine war and the inflation in Nigeria due to the rise of dollar against the naira, it's also a contributing factor.
Even though we heard that the NSIA graciously imported a certain quantity of MOP from Russia, even during the crisis, but that had been in the port, and patronage from the blenders is minimal because they couldn't sell the fertilizers that they had because the farmers simply could not afford it. Now, this is a catch-22. You see, the purchasing power of our currency is every day dwindling. The dollar today is close to 700 naira in the open market. Even in the CBN, it is near 500 naira, and therefore the wages have not increased. And when the farmers want to sell their crops, people are groaning that it's very costly and all that. So once you don't have money, you know, it's very difficult to feed, and therefore the farmers simply go through what everybody else is going through, and therefore their purchasing power is reduced. The fertilizers are not readily available or affordable to them. I think we can fixate this matter in this perspective.
Gwamnati ita take alhakin duk ta wadda hanyar da za ta samu abubuwan da 'yan ƙasa za su ji daɗi ta nemo masu. Na biyu, akwai 'yan kasuwa. 'Yan kasuwa ko da sun samu abin nan tunda sun ji a ƙasashen duniya abin yana wuya, suna ɓoyewa su ce dole sai ya yi hai. Wannan shine haifan mana da asalin rashin samun fertilizer a kasanni. Na farko dai gwamnatin nan da ta hau ta yi ƙoƙarin cewar mu koma gona, kuma mun ansa kiranta, kuma mun koma gona. To amma zamani ya zo, da can ana noman nan ba taki, yanzu kuma an kai noman nan ba taki, to kusan gara ma ka bari ya fi sauki. Domin inda za ka samu bahu kimanin a ce za ka noma bahu 50, karanci ka same bahun taki 5, to ɗaya ya gagara, ya za a samu 50. Kaga kana iya noman, maimakon ka samu wani abu sai ka ga abin da za ka noma ka ci a gidanka ma ya gagara. Shi yasa muke kira da gwamnati, wannan ita take da iko, ita take da hanya, ita ta san wace hanya za ta bi don ta kawo mana saukin wannan al'amari, kamar yadda ta kira mu bunƙasa ƙasa da abinci. To mu ma muna kira da gwamnati, wannan tallafi za ta bamu na wadatar taki a kasuwa, ba wai mu ta saya ta bamu mu je mu ba, a'a ta dai wadata shi a kasuwa yayi saukin da zamu iya, mu kuma noman da zamu ci wasu masu ci a ciki.
You understand? Now I've told you, whether chemical or organic is expensive. It's a way out of reach. And when you look at the cost, and you cannot even isolate, isolate fertilizer when it comes to factors of production. What of the herbicides? What of the insecticides? What of the selective fertilizer? What of the harvesting point? What of the cost of labor? Even now, before a laborer may take 1,000 naira a day, I don't think that is possible now again. You understand? So what the totality of everything is expensive. How much is a tuber of yam now? It's not a time of tomorrow or yesterday, it's now. I picked 2 tuber of yam that are just very skeletal. It was sold to me for 1,500 by local people. I'm not talking about real market. 1,500, that means 700. And look, I planted some yam here. When I was buying the seed, it will cost me 250 naira for a seed of yam. When I put 250 naira for a seed of yam, it means it will cost me not less than another 250 per heap of yam to maintain it. So if the cost of a heap Ab initio is costing me almost 500 naira to produce a piece of yam. No transportation, no harvest, no storage. Guess what? No tuber of yam will be less than 1,000 naira.
Reports from Daily Trust proves that the major producers of fertilizer in Nigeria have the capacity to produce beyond local consumption. But yet, these products are not in circulation among small-scale farmers. They are unable to access fertilizer due to high cost. With the increase in the price of fertilizer, farmers who can afford to buy the product are likely going to increase the price of their goods. How then will Nigerians survive the next phase of inflation? And that wraps up this episode of Agri-Prenuer. I am Gaza Yakubu. Bye for now.